Hello everyone, so today we're starting a new series on diet and exercise. So we're just going to go through lectures on kind of the stuff we eat, carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, stuff like that, and then look at some studies as well. But firstly, let's go for the introduction, and today we're going to be doing carbohydrates. Kind of a short info on macronutrients, so they provide us with energy, and the three main groups are carbs, fats, and proteins. So we've got carbs, firstly that give us kilocalories per gram, so that's about 4. Same with proteins, 4, fats 9, and alcohol 7. And then kilojoules of energy per gram, we've got 18 for carbs, protein, fat 37, and alcohol 29. So as you can see, fat provides the most energy per gram, so that's why it's the preferred storage mechanisms in our body. Then we've got micronutrients, so we're going to talk about them later on. We've got vitamins, which are fat or water soluble, and minerals, which are either bulk or trace. So if we get straight into it, we'll talk about carbohydrates. So the daily recommended intake is about 45 to 65%. When we talk later, 1 ounce is about 28 grams. So if you ever wondered that and you see any data, that's how to convert it. So carbs, not only do they provide us with energy, but they also have these minerals, vitamins, and phytochemicals, antioxidants with them, and that's why the food is so amazing, because it not only provides with energy, but it has this mix all together, and hence why whole foods are much better than taking supplements. Sometimes food is refined, and that decreases these micronutrients as well as fiber. Also, adding sugar to products, so that's why sometimes you may see sugar added to bread, stuff like that. They reduce nutrient density, and that's basically, it expresses nutrient content of a food relative to energy yield, so nutrients per megajoule. So we've got increased consumption in these refined carbs are seen to increase obesity as well as chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease. That's why it's better not to eat all the crap and eat the healthy whole meal stuff. So if we talk about fiber more, so fiber is not a digestible carbohydrate, however it is soluble. We've got two types of fiber, insoluble and soluble. So firstly, soluble, that basically dissolves in water to form this viscous solution in the intestine and can be fermented by bacteria. Insoluble, so that obviously doesn't dissolve and cannot be fermented by bacteria. Sometimes we get this resistant starch, which is basically resist digestion. Oh, sorry, I didn't put the example, but example is basically something like green bananas. So fiber allows for a increase in speed and weight of feces through the colon and provide fullness. So we obviously don't want the food hanging around the colon too much, as that could increase the risk of infection, or carcinogenic molecules have more time to be absorbed into the body. That's why it's good. It's nice that fiber increases that speed, so the risk of carcinogens getting into the body is lower. Also alleviates constipation and lowers the risk of diverticulosis, which we'll talk about later in the next slide. As well as soluble fiber slows down digestion, whilst insoluble speeds it up. High indigestible carbohydrate production can relieve or prevent certain bowel disorders such as colon cancer and diverticulosis. So what is it? So that's basically sacs that protrude from wall of the large intestine, where fecal matter accumulates and pain and irritation can occur, as well as this increased risk of infection. So how can we measure how the response of certain foods have? So we've got glycemic response, which measures the rate, magnitude, and duration of the rise in blood glucose that occurs after food or meal is consumed. We also have this glycemic index, ranking of how fast carbs-based goods affect blood glucose compared to reference food. Also this glycemic load, how fast 50 grams of a food raises blood glucose. So last we've got this glycemic load is basically glycemic index times the carbohydrate content. We talk about kind of specifically to a body and what this carbohydrate does. So firstly, monosaccharide components. So glucose has a much higher glucose index than fructose. So we've got type of starch. We've got amylose, which slows down the rate of digestion, whereas amylopectin will digest it much faster. Physical entrapment, so bran slows down enzymatic activity on starch layer. Viscosity, so viscous soluble fibers transform intestinal contents into gel-like matter that slows down enzymic activity. So other foods, so cooking depends on how fast it's absorbed, and adding fat and protein to a carb tends to reduce glycemic index. Then we've got acid. Acid slows down the gastric emptying and digestion of starch. Processing requires less digestive processing, and then cooking again involves starch molecules and softens food, which speeds up the rate of digestion. So if we talk about the risk of heart disease and stuff like that, so we've got lowest nice carbs that are unrefined, lowest cholesterol, and therefore the risk of heart disease. Also, liver uses blood cholesterol to make bile stored in the gallbladder, and that's excreted in the feces. And what a high fiber diet does is allows less cholesterol in the bile to be reabsorbed into the blood through the renal tubule in the kidneys. So that means that can easily be excreted instead of reabsorbed, and obviously the more cholesterol you have, the more risk of atherosclerosis developing. So the kind of health implications in the GI tract again. So slow nutrient absorption, reducing these glucose fluctuations, because glucose isn't absorbed as fast into the body, so we don't get a huge surge of glucose. Instead, it's absorbed much slower, so insulin can be made in the body and respond to the glucose intake. Also, we've got stimulate GI motility, so the food can much easily pass through the intestine because the peristalsis will occur. Also promote healthy flora, so we want our bacteria to be nice and healthy, we don't want them feeding crap to them. And also increase intestinal gas as a byproduct of that. Diets high in meat and low in fiber, starch and veg are at high risk. Also, they prevent colon cancer because fecal contents may contain tumor promoters, as I mentioned, those carcinogens, or flour byproducts that accumulate in colon cells. So evidence suggests, kind of an overall, fiber protects, animal fat promotes the risk of cancer and other diseases, and also fiber counteracts the effect of fat that we consume. But as I said, fruit and veg come as a full package, so not only that you're reducing your risk of coronary heart disease by allowing your food to pass through you properly, but also had these antioxidants which reduce oxidative damage done in the body. So meat protein promotes this again, and fiber attracts water which dilute cancer causing agents and speed up the removal. So basically fiber attracts these cancer causing agents to get into the water, then into the feces, and they can quickly be removed from your body and pooped out. As I've come to notice that in a high fiber diet, they tend to increase the amount of times you excrete. So a quick note on lactose intolerance. So 75% of humans are lactose intolerant due to inactivity of lactose, and we as humans, we obviously naturally have that enzyme early on in life when we have lactose from our mothers. But obviously this ability to use lactase diminishes as we grow up. And this undigested lactose fermented to produce short chain fatty acids and gas in the small intestine, so you get some pains in the stomach as well as these gases which are then excreted. That was a quick summary on carbohydrates and how they're related to diet. We also have to talk about kind of the deforestation risk in the risk of producing all of this kind of sustainability, but we'll talk about that more in next lecture. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to check the description for the links to the books. Specifically for this module, helped me this Essential Human Nutrition, which is very good, and my link is in the description, so please use it. And if you want to get that delivered even quicker, check out the Amazon Prime trial for 30 days or 6 months if you're a student. So thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.